What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Winnipeg Jets UFAs and RFAs. If you don't know what those are, unrestricted free agents and restricted free agents. So current players that were on the team last season with expiring deals need to be re-upped. And the Jets have a few of them, some more important than others, but definitely quite a bit to talk about here. I'm going to start off with the UFA list. I'm going to start off with guys that I don't think are going to be back, and then I'm going to talk about the guys that I think will be back at the end. But we're going to start off with goaltender Laurent Brossoit, who backed up Connor Hellebuyck this past season, had an incredible year, definitely starter caliber, elite backup goaltender, and I don't see a world where he comes back to Winnipeg. I think he's going to go chase a starting job, which, maybe he's deserved for a little while now. Played really well when healthy for Vegas last year, too. Laurent Brossoit is likely going to leave, and really anybody that gets his services is very lucky, in my opinion. He's a monster, had an awesome year, and a big part of why the Jets had the William M. Jennings handed to them. He was an elite backup and something Winnipeg hasn't really had ever since the Jets relocated. The other UFA that I believe is out the door is Tyler Toffoli. I don't see a world where he comes back. I mean, he's going to want a long-term contract. I don't think the Jets are interested in giving it to him. I think the dollar value is going to be too high. I just don't think the Jets will have the cap space for it. They have around, $13 million, before any transactions. If they, buy out Nate Schmidt, trade Nate Schmidt, maybe move Neil Pionk, they're going to have $13 million in cap as of right now. It's just not going to work with Tyler Toffoli. I assume he's going to get, maybe around 6.5, maybe even 7, 30-goal season once again for him. Great year, but just not in the cards, I don't think, to be a Winnipeg Jet for the foreseeable future anyway. So I think Brossoit and Toffoli are likely gone, but now we're going to be talking about the 3 UFAs that I do think could be coming back, and to all varying degrees of possibilities here. Now I'm going to be talking about Sean Monahan, who is kind of in the middle. It kind of just depends what he wants. If he's looking for, $5-6 million, I don't believe he'll be back with the Jets. One thing that kind of makes me wonder about Monahan, though, is that when he got acquired by the Winnipeg Jets from the Montreal Canadiens, Elliot Friedman said on his 32 Thoughts podcast that the Jets had been after him for a while, like a couple of seasons already. So I wonder if Chevy gets Monahan and says, okay, you know what, we like him a lot, we're going to keep him, we've been trying to get him for a long time, we're going to offer him really whatever he wants. I hope that doesn't happen, and I really don't think it's going to go that way, but Sean Monahan, if he wants maybe around 4 for 3 years, I think that's doable. I don't think that's the end of the world. I think that's a good contract for Sean, but if I were Kevin, I would personally move on from Sean Monahan. He didn't do a whole lot in the playoffs, really didn't do a whole lot outside of the power play either here in Winnipeg. So, while he was a good addition, for the playoff run, really, I don't think he's worth investing long term. I think the Jets can do better. Now, the 2 most likely UFAs left on the board are Brendan Dillon and Dylan DeMello. These 2 guys have been on the back end for Winnipeg for quite a while now, and I do think that DeMello has the edge here. I think that Dylan DeMello will be re-signed by Winnipeg. He basically all but said he will be staying pretty much no matter what, as he's got a family here, just had a second child, and I know that's the case with a lot of players, but it does seem like Dylan DeMello is going to be back here in Winnipeg. I assume it's going to be something close to the deal he had before. Of course, he's making $3 million over 4 years on his last deal. He's 31 years old. I'm thinking maybe, a 3-year deal at maybe $4 million, and kind of cap it at that. I don't think he's going to be making $5-6 million. If he made closer to 5, I don't think it would be the end of the world, but if we get up into that price range, I don't think that it would be plausible to bring up Brendan Dillon for another few years here in Winnipeg. He seemed a little bit frustrated that he didn't have a contract. It seems like Winnipeg really hasn't talked to him at all, but take that with a grain of salt. It seems that the Jets are more focused on finding a head coach right now, and we'll get to the UFAs later. So as it stands right now, it doesn't seem that Brendan Dillon's going to be back in a Jet sweater, but really anything could happen. I think the Jets definitely respect him. Of course, he wore the A for a few times this season when guys were down with injury. He's a guy that the organization definitely respects, and I think that the notion that the Jets are just kind of waving him off, I think is a little bit premature, and I think once we get closer to the actual period here, we'll see some talks happen. I don't know if a deal will get done. I think Winnipeg's going to be pretty aggressive trying to find a top 4 right-hand shot defenseman via trade this offseason, and maybe there just isn't room for Brendan Dillon. Either way, I think Jets are a better team with him, but if they don't bring back Brendan Dillon, I'm not too heartbroken about it personally. And I didn't really talk about any of the Moose players here, but Kyle Capobianco was a Group 6 UFA. He will not be back, I don't think, unless he really wants to stay here, but I think he's going to go look for an opportunity somewhere else. Had a pretty good year in the AHL, and of course Colin Delia as well, UFA. I don't believe he will be back either. Now we're going to jump into the RFA, so the Jets have team control on these guys, so even if they, decline an offer or anything, the Jets can qualify their rights, keep them on roster, and move them if so, or continue working out a contract. We're going to start off slow here. We're going to start with David Gustafsson, guy that really didn't impress me all season long. Then we got to the playoffs and he actually looked pretty solid. I don't think that he's a world beater or anything, definitely just a bottom 6 player. If the Jets want to bring him back for some more depth in the organization, I think that's fine, but realistically, if they move him for a pick or include him in a package, I would be fine with that as well. He's a very replaceable player, very good defensive player, but the offense has been holding him back really his entire career here. And, if you're not able to put the puck in the back of the net, at least a little bit there in the bottom 6, you're definitely replaceable. So David Gustafsson, we'll see what happens with him. Won't be a very large contract. Ville Heinola, a guy that was supposed to start the year in the top 6 for Winnipeg, went down with an injury in the final preseason game. Heartbreaking for him. The guy's been working so hard his entire career, finally gets his shot and then gets hurt. We'll see what happens with him. We'll see how disgruntled he is. I imagine he wouldn't be opposed to a change of scenery. That's been kind of kicked around a little bit. I do think that Heinola, if Brendan Dillon doesn't get brought back, would be a great option to have on the bottom pairing. Upcoming next season, he'd be a great partner with Brendan Dillon as well. So, we'll see what happens. But Ville Heinola, a guy that I would love Winnipeg to keep. If you've been on the channel for a long time, I'm a big Heinola fan. I want to see him get some actual playing time because I do believe in him. I know a lot of people are on the fence about him, some of maybe the older crowd, but I do like Ville Heinola quite a bit, and I hope the Jets bring him back on, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal, and we'll go from there. Next up, Logan Stanley, a guy that I was convinced was out the door, a guy we even thought might get waived at some point, then ended up playing pretty okay down the stretch, got exposed in the playoffs. Logan Stanley, a guy that is really just a 7th to 8th D, in my opinion. He can step up if you need him to in the bottom pairing, but just a guy that I don't really know if it makes sense for Winnipeg to bring back. Maybe they do bring him back as depth, if they do lose both DeMello and Dillon, but I just don't see really a world where it kind of happens. I don't know. I think that Stanley is finally going to get that change of scenery. I think that he's going to go play for maybe one of the lesser teams, Chicago, maybe a San Jose, something like that. Get an opportunity in the top 6 to play every day and not get benched for 60 games a season. Because as much as I don't believe in Logan Stanley, I'm sure he believes in himself. I'm sure his agent believes in Logan Stanley, and I imagine they want to get him playing full time and not just 20 games per season. And lastly, Cole Perfetti, a guy that had an incredible year. Nearly 40 points on the year, 19 goals, 19 assists. He was awesome. Got shuffled up and down the lineup really all year long. Towards the trade deadline, he kind of got shuffled completely out of the lineup, a little bit, unwarranted in my opinion. I think he did a lot more than an Alex Iafallo was doing this season. I think that he had a lot of talent, and when given the opportunity in the top 6, he excelled. When he was playing on, the 4th line, didn't do as much, but played really well in those minutes, but just didn't get a whole lot of track. As soon as he got put into the playoffs, he looked incredible. He might have been the best player in Game 5 for Winnipeg, where they had lost, the game to Colorado there. He looked really good. He looked like he belonged, and I think it was a little bit silly that he didn't get to play the entire playoffs. Cole Perfetti, a guy that I'm sure is a little bit disgruntled with how he was used. I hope that he's able to get a deal done with Winnipeg for the long term. I know that's not going to happen. It's going to probably be a short-term bridge deal, probably in the $3 million range if I had to guess. 3.5. I think Cole is definitely worth the money, but definitely got to be cautious if you're his agent and Cole yourself with how he was used last season. But I do think top 6 spot is awaiting him next season, and I think that he has a shot to excel and really make a bigger name for himself this upcoming year, because this was a big step forward for him. He was putting the puck in the back of the net, less passive. He was very good. So hopefully Cole isn't, you know, randomly wanting out, demanding a trade. I don't see that happening. I think he'll be back, and hopefully a Winnipeg Jet for a long time. But this is just my analysis on, you know, the free agents that Winnipeg has. I think that Dylan DeMello definitely, out of the UFAs, the most likely to come back. I think Brendan Dillon has a good shot too, although, you know, maybe money's a factor for him. We'll kind of have to see how that goes. Monahan, kind of up in the air right now. I don't think he'll be back, at least day one anyway. Tyler Toffoli, Brossoit definitely gone. I think the RFAs will all at least sign their qualifying offer, but I do wonder about guys like Gus and Stanley. I wonder if they'll move on, even Hanel as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Leave a comment down below. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Who do you want to see back? Let me know. But yeah, that's all I got today, guys. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.